The cocoa sector, Ghana's golden cash crop, is currently facing a financing crisis. For the past 2 months, or from November last year, cocoa farmers across the country have not been paid for the harvests they made or sold to licensed buying companies, which then are sold to the cocoa board. In fact, in today's discussion here on the food chain, we are looking at the implications of this financing crisis on the cocoa farmers and even Ghana's economy, and also interact with experts or economists on ways we can improve the sector when it comes to financing the cocoa sector. My name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion here on the food chain. Stay with us. David Berko and his wife come through their parcel of cocoa farm in the Kofiasu community of the Ashanti region in desperate search for ripe cocoa pods. After hours of frantic search, they collect a basket of the pods and head to their thatched house sitting in the middle of the deep cocoa plantation. This has been their source of livelihood for nearly 3 decades, but the past few months have been unprecedentedly difficult. Times are hard now. We used the initial payment to settle our labors. Because I have no money, I told my son to stay home from school.
2 days school school. 5 times in the school. Over. It's coming be no more. When I'm not going to school was For 3 months now, the couple have not received any funds for the cocoa beans they supplied to the local licensed buying company. Requesting money due them has become a daily struggle, throwing them into untoward hardship. Yesterday we ate ampesi. This morning, we have no cash on us for food. The purchasing clerk told us to come for the money, but when my husband went there, he told me there isn't any now. We have been chasing the money since.
Amen.
Few meters away from David's abode, I meet Shaibu, also a cocoa farmer. His story isn't any different. We are suffering. We have no money. I thought you had come here to give me money. My wife has left me alone in the bush to cater for our children. This has been the plight of many cocoa farmers across the country. After receiving October payments, funds for all the harvests they made from November to date have not been paid. The joy that erupted after the government increased cocoa prices has been short-lived. This government cares less about the cocoa sector. We've never been in this situation before. Government in October 2025 set its farm gate price at 58,000 cedis per metric ton, selling at approximately 3,228 cedis per 64 kilogram. The price adjustment came with a new cocoa financing regime. The Cocoa Board announced no syndicated loans were secured for the 2025-2026 crop season. Randy Abe is the CEO of the Cocoa Board.
Previous year, the thing delayed to 22nd December. Never happened before. And we didn't even get what we wanted and had to go to Ministry of Finance for some $70 million or something, which is also a debt, to be able to do the financing of the cocoa. So we were in troubled waters. So the buyers agreed to then finance the crop so that they'll be able to retrieve those low price contracts now, whilst they can also buy a bit of this. However, as I speak, Ministry of Finance, NEA, we are looking at a financing model.
Another one?
Yes, we are looking at a financing model. Moving beyond 25-26.
The reworked cocoa financing system saw farmers sell beans to licensed buying companies, which then sell to the cocoa board, and through its marketing arm, cocoa board sells the cocoa to international buyers. The arrears have seen many licensed buying companies operating under cocoa board halt purchases. Kojo Edubofo is a purchasing clerk for Olam at a corner.
Number 2, yasa credit cocoa ni bi wo company in chain cocoa do officer or say farmers in
The money isn't coming. We've credited some bags of cocoa beans, which we expect payments are made for them. The LBCs have informed us not to take any cocoa again.
And they say every office and as a government companies, you know, and come and pay for
data from the Bank of Ghana indicates cocoa traded at approximately $58,000 per ton on the global markets as of December 2025, declining from over $11,000 at the beginning of this year. Industry sources say the recent decline in international prices has made it difficult for cocoa board to secure advance payments from traders, forcing the central bank to step in to provide funding. While some farmers find alternative farming to support their families, others are contemplating smuggling and selling off their lands to illegal miners.
I watch on our do aquache. If you say yes, me ska, but on me mefu na amagaram say ni. Ajiska. It is a big cocoa no diano. What here in Chauka?
Government is now focusing on gold, and if that's the case, then I will sell my land to illegal miners to get the money due me. I will also smuggle. If my child is sent home for owing fees, I'll go back to the school and inform them the government owes me. Sources indicate that cocoa board is rethinking its financing strategy as large amounts of cocoa beans pile up in farms, putting investments at serious risk. Someone brought me 2 kilos of cocoa. I couldn't buy them. But one question lingers on the minds of the cocoa farmers as they harvest the beans. Who will buy them after drying? And so you are still watching the food chain here on the Joy News channel with me, Emmanuel Bright Quick, and I'm currently being joined by Professor Robert Edu, who is the head of the Department of Agriculture, Economics, Agriculture Business and Extension here at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. We are really coming to have a discussion on how we can find solutions to whatever the cocoa farmers are facing on the farms as they cultivate cocoa for our country, and also ways to find lasting solutions to the government in terms of exporting cocoa to the international markets. Prof, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you very much. Right, yes, it has.
It's been a long time.
It has.
Yeah. Prof, I'm sure you've heard of the conversation that's actually going around now, where our cocoa farmers are saying they have not been paid since November last year. In fact, I've been to the field, I've interacted with a few of them, and they tell me they've not received anything. They are really going through the pinch and all of that, finding money for themselves to fend for their families. It's now a struggle. What are some of the factors that contribute to the decline of the cocoa prices on our international markets?
Thank you very much, Bright. I have also heard about the complaints. In fact, over the weekend I was in my village, and some of the cocoa farmers were complaining about the fact that they've not been paid for some time now. In terms of price formation or price determination, usually from economic perspective, it is a demand and supply situation. And for an international commodity like cocoa, we have the off-takers, those who buy and grind so that they can use it for chocolate production and for some other cosmetic products. And then we have the supply side. So if there's a mismatch between demand and supply, obviously it is going to affect the pricing. In the past, I think that people were having certain fear about sustainability in supply in the coming months, but I think that the forecast of the weather and environmental development are turning out to be quite positive for the coming year, and so people expect that we are likely to have some good yield in the coming years. And so the off-takers or the people who demand it in large volumes are no longer panicking. Now, if they are not panicking, it means that they will not be rushing to offer higher prices for the few quantities that are on the market so that they can hoard it and use it for a longer period of time. And so I think that could be one of the reasons. So in terms of expectations of output on the market, they have positive expectations. And so if you expect that the commodity will be available, then the little on the market, you can allow it to follow through with the normal price determination and the normal trends on the market. So I think that that is one of the issues. Again, I think increasingly we are also seeing that other countries are becoming more important when it comes to cocoa production. So we talk about those in the Latin America and all that. For example, Ecuador and other places, they're also becoming very important.
In fact, they're saying they will be set to become the second largest producer.
Exactly. So they are doing well. Honduras and other parts of the world, they are also doing well with cocoa. And so if you have so many suppliers, obviously, then we expect that expected supply will go up, and then if demand stays at the same level, then prices are likely to come down.
But shouldn't our cocoa be different? You know, people say our cocoa, we have a better cocoa, like aroma and all, at least we should make our cocoa have a bit of premium on the market.
Yes, that is true. In terms of aroma, yes, but I think that over time, other countries have also started producing aromatic cocoa. And so the same Ecuador and Honduras and other places, they are producing certain kinds of cocoa these days, and the aroma is also okay. And so we need to also look at issues relating to substitute for cocoa. Okay. So those who demand cocoa for chocolate and for cosmetic in particular, they are looking forward to using alternatives. So there are some oils that they are now using, and so the volume of cocoa that they need for pomade production and this cosmetic product, they are cutting down significantly so that they can use the substitute. In fact, I am sure that with time, even for chocolate production, they may want to cut down on the amount of cocoa in there so that certain substitute. No, it's production economics. So the ingredients that give you the final output for you to sell, if you do the cost and returns analysis and you think that there are alternatives that can give you better returns, you are likely to increase it. So that could be one of the things. I think that in our part of the world too, in fact, the critical, I am struggling to understand why we are having this challenge, because I have been in that industry before. I used to be a deputy area manager for Jumapa Bias many years ago in Central Region. And those days, because of the syndicated loan, usually LBCs, licensed buying companies, will be giving money. Then they will buy. And so those days when we were in the industry, there was this policy of cash and carry. So LBCs will go see cocoa, pay money, and then pick it. So to have come to a point where farmers will now go and deliver, and then cocoa is taken, and the farmer has to spend months, and the money is not coming, is something that I think we really need to sit down and find a solution to. Otherwise, we are demotivating the cocoa farmer, and we are making things difficult. I am not even sure whether when the money comes, they are going to add any interest to the money that they are going to give them, because typically, if the farmer was using that money to do some business over a 2-month period, you expect some returns. And so government has to sit up and look at the financing arrangement and the model that they are trying to adopt. It appears that with the syndicated loan out of the way, we haven't found a sustainable way of funding cocoa purchases. And I can suspect that most of the license buying companies that are buying small quantities are going to have to pay a lot in terms of interest rates, because they normally will borrow from the local financial institutions, and then it is when they have given it to Cocoa Board and they have been paid, that is when they can also go and pay their loan. So it's a challenging situation, and I just pray that those who are within the Cocoa Board arena are thinking about what to do so that we can alleviate the suffering of the cocoa farmer.
Okay, I know over the years, even 3 decades now, we've always relied on the syndicated loans to support the cocoa farmers or pre-finance the cocoa sector. What do you make of that system and the current system where now Cocoa Board wants the farmers to give them the cocoa, now they sell it to the off-takers, and then they will actually bring the money before we pay the farmers? As an economist, what are some of the pros and cons of the old system and now the current system, and how it can actually impact our economy?
All right, for the current system, I'm not too sure the details of the model they are operating. For the syndicated loan, I had my own issues with it in the past. Okay. I felt that as a country, we should by now be able to buy our own cocoa with our own resources, so that we can hold the cocoa and then sell it on the international market when we feel that prices are attractive. That way the country benefits more. Now that government has decided not to work with that model, it's difficult to understand how they are going to manage things, because see, wanting to get the most from the international market is good, but I think that it doesn't have to be done by sacrificing the welfare of the farmer. We must find a way to raise internal funds to pay the farmer off. Then Cocoa Board will manage the stock and sales part of the whole system. And so in terms of pros, when the syndicated loan was there, anytime it came to support the currency, and then it helped. But fortunately now, because of the gold program, I think the gold is now supporting the currency, and so maybe you don't need that huge volume to come in at a go to support this. What has to be factored in the new approach they are using, and maybe if they explain it later to all of us well, then we'll know how to also tailor our recommendation. But I think for now, what I can say is that they need to find money locally and pay off the farmer. Then you should be able to sacrifice for some time whilst you hold the stock. Then you monitor international prices. But if you want to also do that, then you need to get experts who really understand price movement on the international market as far as cocoa is concerned, so that you can predict well. Because if you also don't predict well, you can hold the stock up to a point and you will still sell and not make a lot of profit. And so it's a difficult one. I don't know whether it was because of the challenges Cocoa Board had in the past. That is why immediately we decided to go for this option. But I think the main point I will make is that whatever it is that government has to do to get money to pay the farmer, as for that part, we need to decouple it from whichever trade model we are trying to deploy or employ, so that the farmer can have his peace of mind. And the risk is that if it continues this way, it means that the light crop that is going to come, many farmers will rather prefer to cross the border and go and sell it.
Some of them tell me they want to smuggle or even sell their cocoa farms to illegal miners because they see it as in, because government says the gold is now what is supporting them, it's better if they sell their lands to illegal miners so that at least the government will get what they want and also they will get their money.
Exactly. So if I'm from Western North or somewhere I'm close to the border, why would I sit here, harvest cocoa, give it out and not get anything? And so I think that all the monies that we use to protect the border against smuggling, if we can aggregate them, all the monies we are spending on other things, if we can channel them into paying cocoa farmers, I think it will help. It's a good investment to make now so that the cocoa farmer is motivated, so that they continue to do the good work they are doing. Gold is good, but we are talking a lot about illegal mining. And so if they finish with the traceability things they are doing and we begin to sell only gold that has been produced sustainably, maybe the volumes will go down. And then when price developments are also not too favorable on the international market for gold, then you are coming back to cocoa, by which time the farmer would have also lost interest in the whole commodity. So if you look at cocoa production and you look at the economic benefits and the environmental benefits and social benefit, it is enormous. If you juxtapose that against the gold production, the small scale artisanal gold mining that we all see all the time, I mean, the environmental cost is incalculable. In fact, it is so high. And look at the social cost as well. Look at what is happening to the young guys in these pits. And so if we take our time to estimate all the social cost and the environmental cost, and then you match that against the economic benefit, the so-called economic benefit, in terms of the stability of the currency and all that, I'm sure the net benefit is going to be negative. Wow. And you don't want that system to continue for a long time. That's why I said if they're able to do traceability and we're able to do responsible mining, then we can be talking more about gold. But so long as we're able to sanitize the space and people are doing the artisanal and they are using the mercuries and then we are poisoning ourselves and all that.
You don't know where the sources of gold is even feeding the gold board itself.
Yeah, but I'm sure they themselves, I think they themselves know that it is a mixed bag. Yeah. So there's good gold and there's also gold from these sources that are contaminated. My main point is that if we push gold, when our effort to sanitize that space is not really aggressive, what is going to happen is that we are going to lose our water bodies, we are going to die in no time, and at the end of the day, the stable economy will be there for which people? We want an economy that will be working for human beings. And so I think that we need to come back and focus on cocoa whilst we are trying to get resources from gold. Cocoa has taken good care of Ghana all these years. And at this point in time, cocoa is expecting Ghana to take good care of it and its producers.
Okay. Now, Prof, let me also find out from you. You as an economist, what would you suggest as a sustainable way of actually financing the cocoa sector? Even though they've pushed away the syndicated loans and now they are bringing a trade model, we really do not understand how it's going to work. But from where you sit, I'm sure you've read about how we can pre-finance or finance the cocoa sector. What would you say can be some of the sustainable solutions to ensure that the cocoa farmer gets what they want, the government is also getting what they want to show up the economy?
It's difficult because the volumes of cash that is required to purchase cocoa is huge, especially when we are in the main crop season. the main crop season, almost every week you have to pump money out and purchase the cocoa, and so it's a huge amount, and it is not very easy to suggest what can be done immediately to raise money to do this. That's why I said that we've done this over time. Maybe we have to have a blended approach. Maybe we have to have a hybrid model. Maybe the volumes, the amount we were seeking from financial institutions in the form of syndicated loan, maybe we can reduce it by 50%, or you could reduce it by 60%, so that you get some 40% or 50% from those sources. Or if you can also work with the banks locally and raise about 40% of that quantum, then you are sure that at least you can begin the purchases of cocoa for some time, and then you can sell some of the cocoa beans on the spot market and also generate some revenues to come and shore up the fund for the purchase. I am sure if that is done, then you can hold some stocks. So you are not buying everything and keeping it in the warehouses, but at least you can sell some on the spot market, get some revenue to come and add to the syndicated amount, which is lower now. Then you can hold some stocks whilst you wait for prices to go up. It's a very simple model. For example, if you're a farmer growing maize and you produce about, let's say, 2,000 bags of maize, if the prices are not good, you don't sell everything once you have warehouses. So you can bring out about 500 bags, you sell it and use that money to pay your labor costs and fertilizer costs and other things, whilst you wait for prices to improve on the market before you bring them out and sell. So if we can adopt a hybrid model, I think we should be able to use the trading model plus a bit of syndicated loan, so that we can get the most out of the cocoa sector for the country.
Okay, all right, Prof. Thank you very much for speaking with me. And so I have been interacting with Professor Robert Edu, who is an agriculture economist, and he has been giving us some dynamics in the cocoa sector, how we can improve finances for the cocoa sector. So for the time being, the cocoa farmer is anxious for respite, an immediate solution for what they are encountering after their hard day's work, their toil and sweat on the farms. In fact, our economists and experts have suggested sustainable ways of financing the cocoa sector. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion here on the food chain. Join me same time next week for another exciting episode. My name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.